In this tutorial, we're going to focus on posts. Posts are the kind of friend to pages, where pages are the main structures to a website, the main elements that people navigate through. The post is essentially what will be your blog or your articles or your archives of various pieces of information you want to create for people, typically a blog. So posts you will find in here, and it has categories and tags. And this is essentially the overview. It's very similar to pages. You can see here categories, what the particular post is associated with. And you've got a quick edit and you've got an edit. Quick edit gives you the ability to change the title quickly. Remember to change the slug and the permalink. You can choose which category it goes into. You can change the author of who wrote it. You can allow comments or disallow comments, publish it or draft it. So it's a quick way of just adding key features to the post. Let's go into the main edit screen. Just like pages, you've got the overview with the menu here. And just like pages, we use blocks. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about these blocks because most of them are self-explanatory. I will talk about the image in the image gallery, but a paragraph is just simply a paragraph block. Heading is literally a heading block. List is literally a list. Quote and pull quote. So those are self-explanatory. You just play around with those. I will focus more on the image and image gallery for the moment. So essentially the way WordPress has worked for posts is because you're going to be creating posts more often than you are pages, and because they're often more text heavy and they're articles, they've wanted to create much more flow when you're writing. So you could be writing la 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 dee 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 dee, and then you click return and then it will create a new paragraph block. So this is a new paragraph block. Why has it gone into caps? Like so. And then you can move it up and down using these buttons. You can change the alignment. So every time you hit a return, it creates a new paragraph block. You can change this paragraph block into a heading. Where do I do that? Maybe I need to change this back to this. There it is. Sorry. That was silly. Let's change that back because it's quite nice having it there. So say I want this one to be a heading. Just click on heading. Simple. And then you can choose H2, H3 or whatever. And then you can say, I'm going to change that to a list. And this is a quote. So if we click on this and preview this on the front end, here it is. That's the title, author, date, categories, read time. This will almost definitely look different for you guys. This is the quote, heading, list, image, another type of quote, image gallery, which we'll come to shortly. These are your image captions here. So that's essentially how posts work. It's still blocks, but this time it's much more intricate, if you like, and you have different functionalities. So here is the image block. Let's put that on to preview. And this is an image gallery, which I will also put on to preview. We'll get rid of, we'll put this one on preview as well. So let's talk about the image block in general. It's very simple. Here we've got the options over here. Image captions. So you can see by clicking it, we've now got the caption appearing on the image. To change these captions, go to the media library and watch the media library video to see how to add captions. If you don't want captions, take them off and they've gone. And then you can just choose the image Let's pick the waterfall. So note, you can add a caption. If I select on there, there's the caption here. You can add it that way if you want to. So that's the image. Image gallery is this block. I'm going to change that back to the edit block and see the functionality. So you've got a number of different functionalities for the image gallery. You can crop the images or have the images native size. So I've turned it off. You'll almost never use this, but it's there. Wrong article. Click refresh, and you can see that the images are all different sizes. Let's click that back on. You can add a spacing between the images. So we're going to go up to a maximum of 15. Sorry. So notice this white space between the images will get much bigger now. See? I actually prefer to have it as 0. Image captions will show you that now. So now I've taken and said no space, please. So there will be no spaces between the images. And captions, if you just hover, you'll see the caption of the image. These 3 images don't have a caption, so it's just these 2. Or you can turn that off, and let's change the columns to 4. So there's 4 columns, and now if I hover, there are no captions. And that's essentially the gallery block. You can add as many images as you want. So we've got 7 images there. We can add more. So let's add these 3 more. Select. So they've now been added. Or we could just delete them. And you can also drag and drop and rearrange the images how you like. Let's add that one. Update, refresh. And there we go. So that's the image gallery. And that's also the image block. So that's how to create a post. They're designed to be very simple, but give you enough tools to create a bit of flexibility. What I'm going to do now is just talk a little bit about the external aspects of the posts. Okay, so remember here I talked about the block and the post menu. Make sure you have post, and I want to talk about this categories, tags I'll talk about shortly, but this excerpt. If I click here on the articles page, which will display all of your blog posts, notice here there is a piece of text that's being pulled through. By default, WordPress will just pull through the beginning of the blog post or what it feels is relevant. So on this officia, they'll bring in this, goodness knows how to pronounce that, which is essentially this title. And that might be totally inappropriate, maybe totally irrelevant to this post. So I've given you the ability to control what is actually displayed here. Actually, I want this text displayed instead. Update it, refresh. It's behaving very slowly. And so there is the excerpt being displayed as you want. So essentially you've got the flexibility to choose how this text is displayed. And do note that this excerpt is used in other areas of the website sometimes. So generally speaking, you want to try and give all your posts a relevant excerpt or a leading introduction to a post that's relevant. So that's the excerpt there. Featured image we've discussed before. There will almost always be some sort of image related to an article. In this case, in this website, we don't have that. Let's talk about categories and tags. Tags I rarely use. So there's a big chance that they won't be relevant for you, but they're essentially exactly the same as categories. So for the sake of argument, I'm going to cover both under just categories. So here you can see there are 3 categories. You can click and choose which one you want to do. If a post is not selected for a category, it will go under uncategorized. I will generally select a specific category that by default a post will go into, because I find uncategorized very ugly. If we see what that looks like, it just looks really silly. If we load this, oh gosh, this is so slow. Notice here it's uncategorized. It just looks very unprofessional. So generally we want to try and keep it categorized. So let's click on categories over here, where we manage and create categories. So here is where you create a new category. So let's put new category. It will automatically create the slug based on that. New. Parent category, you can nest them. Generally speaking, you're probably not going to, but you can. And then we'll just put some content. Add. So there's the new category. It will take the title as the permalink or slug. You can manually override that and change that if you want to. And that's essentially it. So now when we go back to posts, and we'll do a quick edit on this one. We've got a new category that we can add. Let's go back to categories. If you want to delete it, just simply delete it. And that's essentially it. So categories is a way of just grouping your posts together and giving your reader a little bit more relevance to how you do it. So imagine you've got 100 articles on your website. You want to contain them into specific groups so they're more engaging to people. So maybe people want to see and talk about pizza more, and so they'll click on it and it will take you to the archive page for pizza. So this will now display all the posts related to pizza or whatever your category may be. It's the same with author. You can click on author and go by that. Generally speaking, this won't have much relevance, and that's essentially posts laid out for you. We talked about this particular block. This particular layout here, where it's actually showing the articles. We talked about that as a block in the block video, so please do check that out if that's confusing. But that's essentially posts. You can give it excerpts, you can give it categories, you can save them as drafts, and they all appear automatically in different places.